How do you keep a show fresh? That was my first thought as I began Rascal Does Not Dream of Santa Claus. After one season and 3 whole movies, we have had plenty of time to get to know Sakuta, Mai, and the rest of the gang. But with that familiarity comes some risk. With the group this small, and a limited number of settings, things can easily get stale. So how do you get around that for your second full season of television? You jump forward a year and put most of your characters in college, of course. And so that's what the show does. Is this the answer to breathing new life into the series? Or is this just papering over a deeper problem? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Frame by Frame, the new series on my channel that I'm running for the summer anime season. Every week, I'm making a video for each episode from these 3 series, where I will dive into one big takeaway from the episode, along with a couple other segments. Think of it like a bite-sized video essay for every week of the season. I hope you'll subscribe to follow along and tell me your thoughts in the comments. Let's start with the brief rundown of the plot of Rascal Does Not Dream of Santa Claus's first episode. Now a college student, not too much has changed about Sakuta's life. He's still dating Mai, and she is still away working a lot of the time. Sakuta goes out to a social mixer event where he meets Miori, a fellow freshman. She remarks on puberty syndrome's existence before departing for the evening. Back at home, Mai is waiting for Sakuta. He still lives with Kaide, who is working at the restaurant now too. Back at university, we are reacquainted with Uzuki, one of the members of Sweet Bullet. Nodoka tells Sakuta that she had a fight with Uzuki about doing more solo work the other day, but she wants to make up with her. In the library, a woman in a Santa outfit walks by Sakuta, just like Mai did all that time ago in the bunny suit. Sakuta also teaches at a cram school with Ryo, who tells him that Kunimi is doing well with the firefighter training and that the 3 of them should meet up soon. The next day in class, Uzuki seems different. Nodoka confronts her, and Uzuki is surprisingly receptive and cooperative. This unnerves Nodoka and Sakuta, who think Uzuki is going through some sort of puberty syndrome. And at the very end of the episode, the girl in the Santa outfit appears behind Sakuta. Sorry if that was a bit choppy, the show is really isolated in its scenes, not worrying about directly tying them all together. I never noticed it until trying to summarize the plot. Our next segment is The Shot, where I choose one shot or scene from the episode that really grabbed my eye. Unlike with Dandadan or My Dress Up Darling, this series isn't focusing as much on the visual flair or any bells and whistles. There's general improvements from the first season to here, but the animation acts more as a vehicle for the superb plot and dialogue than something meant to sweep you away on its own. With that in mind though, I do want to shout out the final scene of the episode, where Nodoka confronts Uzuki. The lighting is really nice. I'm a sucker for harsh lighting and the shadows it casts, especially across characters' faces. The real part of this scene that I'm shouting out though is the facial expressions of the characters, and how they subtly shift the tone from one of reconciliation to distinct unease. While on the surface, Uzuki wanting to make up is a good thing, Nodoka is clearly unnerved by this new Uzuki. Contrasting it with the sincere concern of Uzuki is a really effective tool, making us all feel a bit on edge watching it. And then there's these shots with all of their faces in shadow, a great visualization of them being in the dark on what is going on. Really smooth stuff, without anything too flashy. Let's move on to the main idea, my big point to make about the episode. As I mentioned in the intro, this new season makes some big changes to the structure of the show. New settings, new characters, new roles for old faces. But in other ways, things are kind of the same. Sakuta is dry, reserved, and yet a bit wise. Mai is commanding, but soft for Sakuta. The other friends we've made along the way feel mostly the same too, at least for now. So which is it? On the whole, I feel very strongly that this premiere rides a fine line between too much of the old and too much of the new, landing in a comfortable place that I'll call familiar, but intriguing. Now let me tell you why I feel this way. If this season started with the time skip and everything was completely different, the relationships with all of our characters were jumbled up and in disarray, you could make a whole season of television piecing everything back together, and that would be compelling in a way. But then, at the end of the season, where are you? Kind of back where you started. Throw in all of the new settings and people, and you risk making a season that feels wholly disconnected from the rest of the episodes and movies. Now on the other hand, imagine this season started right after the end of the last movie, and it covered everyone entering the new phases of their lives. Kaide getting a job, Sakuta getting into university, etc. Honestly, that doesn't sound much better. Frankly, after finishing the third movie, I was ready for some change. That's why this episode has me so excited for the rest of the season. It's like the baby bear's bed in Goldilocks. Not too much new, not too much old, just right. Even for an episode like this, that is just reintroducing us to the cast, I was so curious to see what everyone was up to in the interim. The few new characters were breaths of fresh air, and all of these new places we visited really dragged me back into the world. And to tease the next big plot point at the end of the episode was the cherry on top. For being a bit of a setup episode, I really couldn't be happier with how they handled it. Our last segment is the one big question I have moving forward. For this week's episode, my question is simple. Are we going to get more Sakuta Mai scenes moving forward? I enjoyed the ones we did get here, but I want to see further evolution in the dynamics between them as the season goes on. That being said, seeing how everyone in college views Mai, and Sakuta by extension, was a really cool expanding of the world. I hope we get more of that as the season goes on. And that's it. This wraps up the third episode of Frame by Frame, and the first week of the anime season. If you missed my videos covering dandadan and My Dress Up Darling, you can find them linked in the video description. Also, if you have any feedback about the series and how to improve it, let me know. As always, liking and subscribing helps a lot and will keep you in the loop. I'm SlamAnime, and have a great rest of your day.